Okay, what I'm here to talk about today is the GOAT performance drill, really part two in the more advanced aspects of this drill. It's becoming, no question, one of the best finds I've ever been able to come up with in the development of my athletes. Now, I'll actually explain why. I'm talking about the three-ring advanced drill. Now, just because I say it's advanced doesn't mean that any athlete, I would start this even with my young kids. There's no question the things I've seen with this drill in my advanced Olympic caliber athletes improve other skill sets. And they also have felt that. It's actually hard to comprehend, but I think I know why. And here's where we're at. I'm going to just explain the drill. So the drill basically has three rings. You'll notice there's a few small mats in the ground, and basically what that's for, I think we slightly covered that in some other videos, but when the athlete runs and their head believes, in their brain they believe there's problems on the ground, they will actually improve their foot striking so that the foot is in correct position a majority of the time when they're doing this drill. So as the first drill goes, there's a figure eight that takes place with this athlete. He's actually running here, looking this object again and running around this cone, or I'm sorry, this circle, and this can be cones. It doesn't matter what it is. He's just running around this object. And we've already talked about the ankling aspects of this drill, the cornering aspects, and the strengthening of the ankle. So when he comes around this circle, as you'll see when I run the drill, he comes underneath here, and here's the point where we get another variable. So the first start was a normal figure eight drill, but we turned and we went here, which gets us another variable, and he's keeping his head on target here, which he has to perform a hip snap. So I'm going to play that video so you can see him running, doing the goat drill as we talked about in part one. And as he's coming in here, notice he does what we call was a hip flip. Now, this athlete did it in two steps. I would have actually liked him when he came back here a little bit as he's running in to stay more square running this way. That foot would have hit while he's looking backwards. So I want his shoulders facing away right now a little longer. And then he takes that one step and turn. You see, he just did a one step, two step turn, and now he's focusing back on this object. Now, what you'll see a lot of your athletes do, it doesn't matter if it's the two ring or the three, it just tells you that what's happening is they start to shuffle right here. So I try to coach my athletes up on them taking a two-step approach to flip their hips as they should in sports so they're faster while also targeting this target. Okay, so then he has done the full figure eight here, then he swings around and does a hip flip here, and he'll run underneath. Now here's the next thing that he does. He holds this position running as long as he can with his head on a thing, with his head on the target. So he's still looking as he's running. The next step, the athlete has to perform a head snap. So he's snapping his head to look and find this target again. Okay, and then he runs through the drill. Basically, I do this drill in between let's say I'm doing it, my running at the beginning of a weight program. So I only do four types of running. I do flying 10s or 20s. I do excels. I do basically cone drills, and I do circles. Well, the circles are now gone because that's all I'm doing circle running in here. So then the point then becomes I do some sprinting. It can be anything. It could be a sled push even. Whatever you feel is optimal for your speed development. This they do while they're resting. Okay, and then so the athlete starts to perform the whole thing over. So you can see he actually does the hip flip here. He did that really well. And then he does the head snap. Now, I'll just play this full speed one time. So my athletes go and they run. At the beginning of the workout, they'll run one sprint. While they're resting, they do this drill. Here it is at full speed. This is one of my interns. It's actually really good for an intern. Um, and this, and he'll do two full reps and then he's out. And the next person's ready to go. And the people in the middle, there we go. The people in the middle are actually trying to block his vision with their hands. This drill becomes frustrating, and I'll tell you what happens with that, okay? But I think you get the gist of this three-ring drill. And again, the reason I went with three rings is if you just do the normal goat drill, you basically do a head flip, or you do it normal where you're looking at the target the whole time. You can do the head flip when you do it another time, you have to completely change the drill to do the head flip where you come in a different angle, and you can figure that out. Or if you're going to do the hip flip or the head snap, you got to do the drill separately. Well, this drill, when I added three, again, all I did was allow you to put all three into one drill, so you didn't have to change up the drill. It became basically a one drill fits all of the variables that exist in here. So there, you've seen that. I will now cover, okay, and if you want to look at performance drill, um, the part one of this, I would just look at the GOAT performance drill, raise your ceiling performance, your performance ceiling on YouTube. I say this is not only for advanced athletes. I would use this at all levels or some variation of it with every athlete I could even imagine. Again, there's the normal version where you run just around with your head in the same position. The three ring provides you some variables like the hip flip and the head snap. Look, folks, this drill is not an agility drill. It is a brain-based drill. This will warm the brain up and cause frustration in it, okay, which causes three types of neurotransmitters to be really released, and then which those three have a lot to do with neuroplasticity. It's acetylcholine, norepinephrine, and dopamine. When you do this drill, again, I don't want to say do it with caution, but I've had athletes who had recently had concussions, and all of them that had done this drill found themselves a little woozy. And that, and so I backed them off some of the variables, slowed them down a little bit. The next session, built them up over 2 to 4 sessions, and they were running full speed. And I don't know what it did to the brain. I just know it didn't cause any sickness or nausea if I backed them down, went a little slower, and then built them up over 2 to 4 sessions. Okay, this neuroplasticity. Why is neuroplasticity important? Is the ability of the brain to form and recognize synaptic connections. Right, it helps you learn skill. Now, if you're a coach and, well, I don't know how this is going to make me a better volleyball player, this drill, or a better football player. Well, you don't have one understanding then about motor control and understanding that you have to develop skill. Skill is everything. Skill, strength is a skill, power is a skill, speed is a skill. They all require this learning potential to improve. Okay? So it's all I'm telling you is I can tell you story after story of the things that I've seen in my weight room with this particular drill. And when I say that, like I've had some coaches visit saying, how are your athletes looking like? And I train hockey athletes, so they're horrible runners. And he goes, the second week of training, they look like they're running at the end of the summer. And usually by the end of the summer, my athletes are actually finally running well. Well, they were at that level in the second week, and I got 12 more weeks of training with them. I truly believe it's the GOAT drill, and it puts them in a spot to do the drill before we come in and train while we're doing our speed development, and they learn things faster and absorb them quicker, and it's pretty crazy. Now, there's a ton of variables with this drill. Okay, the variables consistently, okay, that I use, the ones that are always there. I like the hands in the face. In part one, I talk about how we do math, and we're just yelling out numbers 7, 9, 12, 14. We're either adding 2, subtracting 2, or 3, whatever you want to do. Balls around the waist, always in their hands. I'll pay that again. So again, there is a lot of things going on here, but I actually don't even need to pay the drill. You play the drill. You can go back. There's mats and tiles on the floor. I like mats because they're less likely to slip. You have moving targets where we talk about in variable one. So that target there that you saw wasn't moving, but you can put it on a string and it's actually even better when it's moving. Other variables, you could put bands laterally pulling with somebody, but then the three ring gets a little tough with that. The helper has to be pretty dynamic. You can carry water bags. Okay, those are another variable instead of holding the hand. But basically, what you're doing is creating an environment that the brain, the body never sees ever repetitively. Every spinal stabilization, which is actually core stabilization. So everybody out there, don't have a heart attack. Yep. When you're talking about the core, you should be talking about the spine. We talk about this in part one. Coaching, uh, drills for this particular drill, I would say It's important to athletes to push the speed limit. Again, I talked about shuffling. Watch for shuffling on the, that should be the hip flip. Okay, eyes are always on target. Other variables, you can add whatever you want. Okay, you can add whatever you want to this drill. Just don't slow the drill down too much. Or if it slows them down, pick it up. But if it's a drill that, hey, I'll take all the variables out and they do one thing, they run around the drill. And if they lose less than 10% of that when they're when you've added your variable at some point and they can't get close to that, then I think it's too much of a variable that you got to stop. Sport specific, look, I would do some form of this drill to prepare the brain for practice. So let's say in football, right? In football, it's really easy. Just have them do a figure eight drill while you're passing a football, watching an object, jogging in the circle. Do three or four of those um, variables, and it'll warm up the brain. Again, remember, this is brain. This is a brain drill to help you coach athletes to be better. This balances the brain out, is what it's also doing. And coaches have to understand everything. If you're a coach, everything you do is skill based. Okay, you're coaching them to throw a baseball, throw, jump, run. It does not matter. Hit, strike, whatever. You need to practice this drill. That's how strongly I feel about it. Really quick, I'll run through that drill again. Right here. Let's just increase the quality. We'll go HD. Here's your drill. Those coaches are trying to block the vision. It's an excellent drill. A lot of variables. Again, he's not watching where he's running. He's going wide sometimes, but I think that's completely okay. All right, and that's about it for the GOAT Performance Drill 2.